Hi guys. So I'm going to apologize ahead of time that I'm awkwardly recording my video in my car this week. I feel like I've been super busy, lots of stuff going on. So finding time to get things all accomplished has been difficult. So I have a few minutes here in between obligations and things I have to do. So yeah, so here I am in my car. So just to recap, my placement is through a Groton public school system, and I have been sort of changing my focus of my internship a little bit. I think I talked about how I worked in the transition program, and now I'm focusing a little bit more on the preschool stuff. And we did a little bit of work ahead of training last week on the IBS program, which is like a behavior program within the school, like elementary school. So anyway, with all of that being said, I wanted to talk a little bit this week about career goals. So since I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I knew that this field was the area that I wanted to work in. I have my bachelor's in psychology, and I wish that somebody, when I was, going for my bachelor's in psychology, had sort of sat me down and said, in order to do that, you're going to either have to continue on with psychology as far as your degrees, or you're going to end up working, in the social work realm. So here I am getting my master's in that now because of all of that. So, when I first ended up with my bachelor's in psychology, I ended up working on an acute unit for adolescent females. And I'm not going to lie, I loved it. I very much enjoyed that hands-on, that dirty work, and all of that kind of stuff. And then from there I moved on and I worked for the Department of Children and Families in Connecticut for a little while. And gosh, I've done other things. I worked in a group home at one point, again with adolescents. I worked in a partial hospital program. Basically, my point is that everything that I've done has been with adolescents. And when I've done my work with adolescents, I realized that everything that I had done was, in like a placement. So those kids were removed from their homes and they were put somewhere. And in my opinion, it's kind of like, okay, we took them away because home wasn't working, so now we put them here. Okay, fix it, And I felt like it was, we can do all this fantastic work with these kids when they're in our care and outside of their homes, but once we place them back in their environment, unless some major work has been done with the families or, the parents, or changing the environment to what they're going back to, whether it's, a different placement, a family member, whatever the case, the work that we've done isn't going to matter. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying none of it's going to stick with the kid, and it's not going to make a difference to them, but if the environment's the same that we're sending them back to, we're sending them back to fail, is my opinion. So the most recent job that I left in order to do my field placement, along with the job that I currently do part-time right now, I'm doing work in homes, which I think is fantastic because it's more of like a wraparound type of thing. So when I did ICAPS, we do in-home work, and really the goal of ICAPS is to help the family maintain as they are and to not use an outside placement for these children. Obviously, if it's necessary, then we will help the family outplace to an appropriate placement. And then we also stick around in order to help them reintegrate back into the home, appropriately. So, and I do some more stuff now also part-time. But so, I realized that that's fantastic, and part of the problem is a program like ICAPS ends up being, like I said, like sort of the last resort. So, where I realized is, like, there's this missing coordination of programs, I feel like, to make sure that while we're doing this great work with this kiddo, once they've been removed for whatever the situation may be, but if their plan is to go home, we have to do some in-between work, and we have to really coordinate as providers to make sure that's happening. So, my placement, I chose to do it within a school because I think that that's really the route that I want to go. And I'm quickly already learning that there's also that disconnect from school to home of, I feel like schools don't call home unless, in general, there is a big problem now. So maybe the principal or administration has become involved because whatever they've been doing within the school setting hasn't worked. So now we have to involve, other people, like the families. But I feel like if we take that a step back, and rather than waiting until the last minute and now things are really, really bad and we have to do something, talk to the parents, from the get-go. Not every parent is going to be receptive to wanting to help out with the teachers and everything, and they're going to say, it's your problem, you deal with it. But there's going to be many parents out there who are willing and wanting to be involved and help out so that their child is doing the best that they can be doing. So I feel like this whole conversation has been more about, the goal that I see myself being able to do as far as my career is helping to bridge that gap. I know that my field instructor that I'm working with right now is fantastic, and she's coming in as an administrator with the social work background and really pushing to have social workers within the school system, so that way they can work towards building that gap, bridging that gap of when something's going on, let's call mom, or what, even if it's not negative, we've actually, part of the training I was just part of involved, let's not call mom or dad or whoever the guardian caretaker is when something's bad. Let's call them when something really good happened, and maybe that will also help improve the positive behavior and keep that going rather than the negative. So anyway, so I'm well over my time now, which I apologize for. I hope that all made sense, and I look forward to hearing from you guys.